Patreon Q&A number 34. I want to thank all 70 of my amazing, incredible patrons. Guys, the fact that you're just continuing to support me the way that you are, despite the state that the channel is in, it means more to me than you'll ever know. And we're almost through it, or at least I'm almost through it. Things on the channel, begin to get better soon, hopefully, and then I could give more back to you awesome patrons, to make up for all that you've given for me. But other than that, everyone else listening, there's definitely going to be some spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully after this point. Phoenix Man asks, "Greetings, Shonen. I was thinking about my whole costume shtick and rereading the Super Fight Tournament arc in the manga to catch up with the upcoming episodes, when an idea about Watchdog Man suddenly struck me. What if he has a similar relationship to his costume as I? Him being an average human stuck in a powerful costume that massively augments his power, that would also technically make him a monster too. It's a possibility I've never thought about up until now. Thoughts?" Just a side note in reference to my question last week, I think Garo's monster form being a shell around him is a metaphorical of how he tries to act like a monster even if he isn't one really. Like a facade. It makes sense, like how the shell crumbles when Saitama defeats him and delivers the truth bomb on him. Hey, thank you for everything you do for me, Phoenix Man. I really am appreciative of all the support that you give me. So Watchdog Man, let's get into it. So this is a theory that's kind of been around from time to time. It is talked about sometimes, but not too much. And I just don't think Watchdog Man in general is talked about too much. And it's not really anybody's fault other than the story just not touching on him that much. He's never really that relevant. Even to this day in the webcomic, we don't know much about Watchdog Man. The only significant time that he gets in the story is against Hero Hunter Garo. Other than that, he's just here and there, even in the audiobooks. So him wearing the suit and it somehow being tied to his power is a possibility. So yes, this happened with Phoenix Man. It's one of the more infamous backstories that we get in this series. I mean, even before it came to light in the manga, it was still pretty popular in the webcomics just because it's such an odd, funny backstory. It's something similar to like Crablante. But with Watchdog Man, I think it may be a little more tragic. So if you don't know by now, Watchdog Man is more or less based off of Hachiko. He's like this legendary dog in Japan who they made this monument out of because apparently this dog was so loyal to its owner that it waited for him outside somewhere, and the owner died, unfortunately, and the dog still waited for him there, and he never moved. And I think he died waiting for the owner. So people were like, wow, that's an amazing dog. So loyal, so legendary, and they made a shrine, this monument out of him, where there's this statue of him, I think it's in Tokyo. So this is more or less what Watchdog Man is. We see the Watchdog Man never leaves Q City. He's always perched up on that little monument thing that he's on, and this is pretty much what Hachiko is. So that means that Watchdog Man could have a very tragic backstory. It could be one of the major reasons why he never leaves Q City, and it also could be why he doesn't take off the suit. So my mind is immediately going to Senor Pink from One Piece. This might be a little too bit of a deep cut for you guys who aren't familiar with One Piece, but Senor Pink from the Doflamingo Pirates, he was the commander of them. He had this crazy, horrible, tragic backstory where he basically wore this costume to make his sick wife feel better, and as she was dying, it was the only thing that made her happy, so he just wore this weird baby costume, and even after she died he continued to wear it in her memory. So this could be something with Watchdog Man, he wore this suit because it made, I don't know, his family or his girlfriend or his wife or his daughter feel better, and after they died he just kind of went crazy because of that, but then never took the suit off, and the supernatural powers within the One Punch Man world probably had tempered with him somehow and ingrained into him, and he has a similar outcome to that of Phoenix Man, as to where the suit has made him more powerful and it's given him dog-like powers. That could be one aspect of what's going on with him, or it could be the suit is just, I don't know, somehow he relates to dogs more with the suit, but we've never seen him interacting with dogs. So it's really peculiar why he is wearing the suit in the first place. I could go into so many theories here, but just the one that I'm thinking has something to do with him wearing the suit, because it has something to do with people that he loved. I mean, there could be a lot more to this, but that's all I could really come up with right now. I mean, there's tons of... I need to make Watchdog Man his own video, actually, but the fact that you bring up his suit could be similar to Phoenix Man, I don't think is too far-fetched. I think it is very possible that he is gaining monster abilities from the suit because, you know, he does have freakishly powerful super strength, you know, because he's ripping through those monsters effortlessly. And strength like that is usually indicative to monsters or, you know, random S-class hero freaks like Darkshine and Purry Purry Prisoner. But, you know, Watchdog Man doesn't seem too muscular. He just seems like a regular dude. So either he removed his limiter... I won't get into that now. Or he's getting his powers from the suit, or he's just born that way or something. But I'm sure in about 7 years we'll figure out exactly what's going on with Watchdog Man. I also like your take on Awakened Garo's shell. I totally think you're correct here. I think the shell is also metaphorical as to how Garo is not a monster but wants to be one. Something that Darkshine calls the monster play. I'm sure that translation will be fixed once the manga gets to that iteration, but I totally am on board with this, and I do think one is trying to paint the picture of his monsterification being metaphorical to his own attitude and ideologies. Raul M asks, yo, what's up, Big Z? My question this week are, did you get the chance to read Samurai 8, the new series by Kishimoto? It looks like it will be good. My second question is, are you worried that the animation of One Punch Man will ruin the best fight, seeing that it ruined one of the best fights in the series already? And my last question is, how do you think Thug Rose will do in her next fight? Hey, thank you for your continued support and patronage, Raul. I appreciate it so much, my friend. So, I haven't gotten a chance to read Samurai 8 yet, and I'm really disappointed in myself. I've kind of just had to do other stuff this weekend, and I've just been wanting to get into Samurai 8, but like I haven't, and like I said, I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't, because I should have had that video out Friday. But instead of doing a chapter review on it, I'm going to do a first impressions video as soon as I can. And then after that, I'm going to follow it on a weekly basis. I don't even care if nobody watches it. I just really want to get into this series, and the best way of doing that for me is to review it. That way I can get more in-depth into the series and whatnot. So I hope you guys do watch my reviews on Samurai 8. I think it's going to be a great series. I was privy enough to read the first couple pages, but I never really went farther than that. But it looks like it's going to be great. Like, it doesn't look like this is a step down from Naruto or anything. It looks like it might be just on the same tier as it, at least right now. So I am worried about One Punch Man Season 2 and the animation ruining the fights. I wasn't really worried about it before Episode 5. Like, once we saw the Metal Bat versus Garo fight, it really hit me for the first time, like, wow, this really isn't doing it justice. Before that, you know, I was kind of ambivalent. You know, I was on the fence about whether it really is ruined or if the quality, we should just accept it for being not that bad. Like, you know, episode 3, that was fantastic. I had had a good time with that, but man, this whole Garo vs. Metal Bat thing, we were looking forward to it for so long, and the way that it just got delivered, just so disappointing. It's like they just didn't care. Or, I mean, I understand that they don't have the same kind of emotional connection to it as we the fans do, because this is just a job to them, and it's probably the first time that they're coming across this this work, but man, just try a little harder at least. I know, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it, like, they don't want to make it crappy, it just happens to, you know, turn out that way with the way that the studio is, the way that the work is, and the producers and whoever else. I get it, but I don't know, it's just disappointing, because I know that if it was me, I would really try to do it justice, if not just for the sake of me taking pride in my work, but just for the fact of other people. I know that a lot of this, you know, a lot of people are going into this expecting to see something good, and I don't know, that just matters to me. But like I said, there's so much going into it, and it's just unfortunate that it turned out the way that it did. But I just hope that from going on this point forward, they just try to make it better. Like I said, there's so many things that are keeping it from being the way that we want it to, but I don't know. It just, there's a lot more great moments in this season to come, and man, if more stuff turns out to be like the Garo vs. Metal Bat thing, it just, man, it's really going to be disappointing. But, so Thug Rose, I remember that you asked me about this last week or 2 weeks ago, and it seems like every time I get asked about fights, I'll say, like, okay, here's what I think is going to happen. and then it kind of does happen, but then the person that I pick to win loses. Like last week when you asked me about Thug Rose against Andrade, I told you exactly what I think was going to happen, and it did. Like in the first season, Thug Rose did exactly what I thought she was going to do. It was masterful. But then, round 2 happened and she got spiked on her head. It's MMA. Things like this happen. That's why it's really hard for somebody to be at the top for so long. Just because anything can happen in MMA, it's such a wild sport that it doesn't matter how good you are, just something can happen that you lose because there's so many rules and there's so many ways to win that things can be invented on the fly, or just crazy things like you getting spiked on your head could happen. So as for her next fight, I don't think she's going to fight again. Judging from how she was at the post-fight press conference, it seems like she's going to retire. And I wouldn't blame her at all if she did. I mean, she proved everything. She is one of the best female fighters ever. She defeated Joanna twice. If she has enough money to move on or to go into other ventures, I strongly suggest that. MMA is no joke, especially on your health, and especially on the health of your brain. So the quicker you can get out, the better. Similar to football. Steven asks, Quale, dude, a moment of silence for Metal Bat. The anime did him so dirty. It's ridiculous that the sound director from the god-awful Berserk can keep getting hired anywhere, let alone on One Punch Man. Will the webcomic continue as a simplified version of the manga, or will some things be retconned? How will Gale and Hellfire fit in it? Will Suiryu and Brave Giant be treated as new additions? What type of characters do you main in fighting games? What's your favorite one webpage picture? I like the one with the giant stork, the one with the elephant, and the one where Saitama's underneath the full moon. They inspire so many questions. Take it easy, man. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Steven, and always the fun, multicultural greetings you give me, my friend. So yeah, they totally did do Metal Bat dirty. That whole episode is just unfortunately disappointing. That's all I can really say about it, and I hope things get better as they move on. So I don't think the webcomic is going to be a simplified version of the manga anymore. I mean, the last couple chapters that we've got, even before it came back, have kind of been detailed. They're like more or less like a standard, shonen now, even though I know it's not shonen, but it's, the way that it's constructed, the way that it has 15 pages and plenty of exposition, plenty of panels. It doesn't seem like they're really skipping over things. So I think it's kind of doing its own thing now, and it's probably going to continue to be its own continuity aside from the manga. So that being said, will manga characters be introduced into the webcomic as it goes on further? And I think they will. I think in, chapter 111 recently, we just saw that Sour Face was put into the webcomic, and before that he was originally just exclusive to the manga. So I hope they bring over more characters, especially like Hellfire, Gale, Suiryu, and Brave Giant. When they do come over, I think one will do one of two things. Either they're going to be new characters, or one is probably going to play a joke and try to act like they've been there the whole time, but kind of making fun at the audience while doing it. He kind of did this with Sonic in one of the fan question comics that he did. He kind of drew attention to Sonic not being really prevalent in the webcomic after the Monster Association. So I think he'll do something like that. The type of fighters that I like in fighting games are the ones who are have combos to them, but not too complex, but they're also fast, but also have power at the same time. So the fighting games, man, I haven't played one in so long, but when I used to play, I would play Smash or Street Fighter or Tekken, and in Smash I'd Snake from Brawl. The way that he worked together, he real intricate, fast, powerful, but also capable of doing combos at the same time. I know that sounds kind of ambiguous as to a fighting game character, but I hope that you understand what I'm trying to get at. I don't like the real big power heavy hitters, and I don't like the characters who rely exclusively on combos to get it done. I like the mixed bag, the ones that are kind of like jack of all trades but master of none. The kind of characters who you can workshop with, if that makes sense. So my favorite one webpage picture is actually one of the ones that you posted here, the one with the elephant and Saitama. I think it's just so interesting, and like you said, it inspires so many questions. What's going on here? Why does Saitama Why is this color scheme like this? Why is the elephant there? Is he going to punch the elephant? Is the monster an elephant? I mean, is the elephant a monster? Yeah. Thanks, Steven. Wolfpup asks, hi, Zhoniin, Wolfie here. How long do we have to wait until Season 2 gets animated? I'm talking like the very end of Season 2 where Saitama fights Awakened Garo. Do you think JC Staff or Madhouse will take over? After all, 12 episodes are finished up to where Saitama kills Elder Centipede. Are you going to do a quick review on JC Staff's work from start to finish? If so, do you think the quality is equal to Madhouse animation, or do you prefer JC Staff to do the animation instead when Season 2 Part 2 is released, assuming it reaches the final climax? Thanks a million. Thank you for everything that you do for me, Wolfpup. Like, you help me out so much, and I just hope you know, like, how grateful I really am for what you do for me, so thank you again. So Season 2 Part 2, I don't know if things are going to play out like that. I know that Attack on Titan does that, like recently we're just getting Part 2 of Season 3, but I doubt that One Punch Man is going to go the route of Season 2 Part 2 and stuff like that. I think at episode 12 Season 2 is going to end, and then the next part will likely be Season 3. So when we get to that, man, your guess is as good as mine. I really thought that we were going to get Season 2, like, in 2017, but, you know, obviously that wasn't the case, and it wound up being about 4 years, or, 3 years and some change before we got Season 2, so based off of that, and also, the manga needs to finish up, too, like, we're not even at Awakened Garo yet, and I don't even know when we're going to get there, maybe next year, maybe, like, the end of next year, possibly, or maybe the summer next year. It really depends at this point, but based off of that as well, I think we won't get a Season 3 in One Punch Man until, like, 2025? 2024? Like, around there, just taking a guess, because it doesn't seem like Season 2 has had that great of a reception. I don't even think in Japan. I could be wrong, but it doesn't, it's not really getting the kind of attention that clamors for a season to get greenlit immediately. Like My Hero, that got immediately rekindled for like multiple seasons, and they just can't get enough of it. But I don't really think that's the case with One Punch Man, so we might not see a Season 3 for a couple years. I mean, I even want to put it out there just so we're being realistic. I think there's even a chance that we might not even see a Season 3 at all, just because of how Season 2 turned out. And it's unfortunate. I hope that's not the case, obviously. I hope we get a Season 3. I hope we get a Season 4, but just the way that things are rocky right now, that's all I'm saying. So I'm not going to do a review on the animation per se, and it's because people just are so angry at it, and people get really angry at me too for defending it, even though, like, I'm not trying to be a blind fanboy here. I'm just trying to look at the positives and things. But just the fact that me saying, like, some episodes are good result in people just disliking my videos. I don't know exactly all the reasons why they're disliking them, but I can tell you right now, it's probably because of the support and the praise that I showed to the episodes. Now, I was very disappointed with episode 5, Garo vs. Metal Bad. I've been talking about it so much, but other than that, I mean, I'll do a review on Season 2 as a whole at the end, but I wouldn't prefer JC Staff to do the animation. I think JC Staff is fine for adapting light novels and isekais, stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're doing like a powerhouse action series like One Punch Man, you need Bones on there. Bones is good with that stuff. Bones does a fantastic job with My Hero Academia. They even helped make Season 1. Madhouse, they're fine. I'm not too high on Madhouse the way that everyone else is. I'm really high on Bones. I think they're like the premier animation studio for like battle manga adaptations and stuff like that. So that's who I'd really like to see Bones go after it. But, Bones, they only get like the big popular ones, it seems like, so far. So I don't know if they'll get One Punch Man, but, we'll see what happens. Zapphod B asks, do you know who Bob Munden is, and what would his rank be if he were a part of the Hero Association? If you don't know who he is a competition shooter specializing in a quick draw. He is capable of drawing and accurately firing his single-action revolver in 6/100ths of a second. He is almost like a real-life Atomic Samurai with a revolver. Also, have you ever seen the show Stan Lee's Superhumans? That's it for today's show, and stay awesome. Hey, thank you for your continued support, Zapphod. I appreciate it, my bro. So, no, I didn't know who Bob Munden is, but after you asked this question, I looked into him. I even looked into the Stan Lee Superhumans thing. I watched a trailer of it, and I looked at a few clips. It's a pretty interesting show. I didn't even know this was a thing, but I'm glad that they make this, because people like this do exist, people with crazy abilities and stuff that other people can't do that seems superhuman in a way. I'm glad that they're cataloging all this stuff. And I saw that Bob Munden was actually on this show, and it totally makes sense because he is a freak of nature. Like, it's truly remarkable what he is capable of doing. So if he was in the Hero Association, for sure he would be A-class. Like the guy Shooter, what the hell is his name? I guess his name's Shooter. I'm probably saying his name. But the guy from the A-class who we saw in Chapter 93 and Chapter 94, a part of the support class, that guy is crazy. Like, he's not, he doesn't have super crazy, superhuman abilities like the S-class heroes, but the way that he's able to work his arsenal and fire off crazy, unbelievable shots the way that he does, totally worthy of A-class. And I think if Bob Munden, or an adaptation of his character, were to be in the Hero Association, he would be right up there with Shooter, or whatever that guy's name is, the guy with the eye patch and the 50 caliber rifle, or whatever his gun is. But that would be a really cool, different kind of hero, like Atomic Samurai, but with like a gun. Like, instead of like the Atomic Slash, it's like the Atomic Shot, or the Atomic Bullet. I don't know. Whatever they call it, it would be amazing. But I'm just thinking about it right now, and that'd be really cool. Just some guy who's cool and calm the way that Atomic Samurai is, but he just walks around with a 6-shooter or something like that. He doesn't even have to be like a Western trope, like typically how those characters are, like McCree from Overwatch. He doesn't even have to be like that. He just be some dude just with a gun, and he's really quick with it. Like, that would be really cool. Like, he runs up on a monster, and just before anyone can even move, you just see a hole in the monster's head from the bullet, and, like, no one even saw the guy move. Like, he's that fast. Similar to how, like, what Atomic Samurai did to Rhino Wrestler, but it would just be like a gun. That would be amazing. My granny asks, Season 2 is a big bag of poopy. In your grandmother's opinion, I am thoroughly disappointed with Metal Bat's fight, but I still love and respect your wrong opinions, sweetie. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Granny. I appreciate it so much. And I'm kind of inclined to somewhat agree that it's a big bag of poopy, although not entirely a big bag of poopy. But yeah, Metal Bat's fight, very disappointed in it. Like I've been saying this whole video so far, it's just too bad the way that things turned out, especially all the weight that was put on this fight. But it's all right. I mean, I hope that it just gets better and we can just move on from this. But I don't think the whole season as a whole was crappy. There are some good, parts to it. Like, Episode 3 was fantastic. I think Metal Bat's fights with Senior Centipede and Raffle Season, they weren't too bad. That whole sequence was fun. Elder Centipede doesn't look bad either. There's just not enough good in it to really outshine the bad. But I also really like that you said that you respect my wrong opinions. Some people just despise me if I say something that doesn't line up with what they think. So it's nice to see that some people out there are like you. So thanks, Granny. Joseph K. asks, hey, Shonen, don't really have a high-quality question this week. Just wondering, since I'm assuming everyone that wanted to see Avengers Endgame has now seen it, hopefully. If you had any thoughts, you could make a whole video if you wanted, since everyone else under the sun has done it. What were the best moments for you? Was there anything you disliked, and did any of the plot holes bother you in the moment? I thought it was great, and honestly a fantastic end to Phase 3, with the only thing nagging me at me being how Thanos was able to bring about 50,000 people with one vial of Pym particles, when they made a big point of Ant-Man saying, we only have enough for one round trip each. It didn't make the film any less amazing, but I have to actively ignore that detail to fully enjoy the awesomeness that was battle that followed when that happened. Still enjoyed Infinity War more, but it was a hell of a movie and definitely in my top 5 Marvel films. Peace, bro. Hey, thank you for your continued patronage, Joseph. And yes, loved Endgame. One of my favorite movies I've seen. Fantastic experience in the theaters. I cried my eyes out from beginning to end, like off and on. It was just so emotional seeing all of these storylines come to an end. And I've literally grown up with the MCU. Like, I've been following it for 10 years along with everyone else. So, I mean, it's definitely grown up with me. These characters have grown along with the way that I have grown. So just seeing it all come to an end, extremely emotional. And I'm not afraid to admit that I cry during movies. Like, I don't really cry at sad stuff. I normally cry, like, when someone succeeds at something. Like, if an underdog, like, succeeds or something like that, that's when I cry like a baby. But I understand that going into this movie, there's going to be a lot of issues with it, especially with time travel. But I really respect and like that they just don't care. They're kind of just like, hey, you know what? This is the big one. We're just going to do it big. And we're going to throw some crazy time travel stuff and the other crazy stuff into this movie. And you're just going to have to accept it. You're going to have to suspend your disbelief and go along with it. And I'm kind of right there with them. Yes, there are a lot of issues with time travel and a lot of issues with the plot holes in this movie, but I think they did a pretty good job with not leaving too many huge plot holes capable of, like, completely ruining the story. So I did actually watch some videos about, you know, the whole thing with Thanos using one Pym particle to bring 50,000 people to the future. And from what I saw and what I was able to gather is that I think the writers might have said on social media or something that it's just implied that Thanos was able to replicate the Pym particles and that technology, which isn't too far-fetched to believe. I mean, he does, have intergalactic societies with him and his knowledge of science and whatnot. Or at least I assume that he has people with level of science and knowledge that are on the level of, like, Banner, Stark, and Pym. So, him being able to replicate it isn't that too far-fetched. I just wish they would have shown us him, like, recreating it or something that he's doing in order for Nebula to have him transported to the present. Whatever. I mean, it was a 3-hour movie and they already had to fit in everything that they could. So if they, if some stuff doesn't make it into the movie, I understand. Another plot point that kind of bothered me, but not so much, was Captain at the end of the movie. Like, how was he able to come to the present if he went back to an alternate timeline? It's not really explained, so I guess we'll just have to assume that he used some Pym particles to come to the future just so he could let everyone know what happened and he can give Falcon his shield, maybe. I mean, there's other stuff too, but I'd have to make my own video about it. I mean, it's way too late for me to make a video about Endgame, so I'm just going to have to take the L on this. I should have made a review when I watched it 2 weeks ago, but it's fine. I mean, I don't really think too many people really cared about what I have to say about Endgame, but it's fine. I'm glad that you at least care, Joseph, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the film too. It seems like we're kind of on the same page with this movie, and that's pretty cool. It's just nice to not see everyone completely being negative about something, Joshua M asks, hi, Shona. My first question today is, if Super Ally, Darkshine, and Tank Top Master were to fuse, how powerful would they be? Now, a few rules for what I mean. The type of fusion they'll be doing is the Portara fusion from Dragon Ball, so they'd be temporarily combined for about 30 minutes and have their strength multiplied by the earrings. How strong would these two be? My second question is another expansion on my last one. What equipment do you use to make your videos with? I want to break into the YouTube OC scene and want to have the right equipment to do it with. Thanks a million, hugs and kisses. Hey, thanks for coming back to the Patreon, Josh. I appreciate it so much, my friend. So, Darkshine and Tank Top Master Portara fusion. So I guess it's comparable somewhat to the Metamoran fusion, but this one is particularly powerful for sure. So they wouldn't get a crazy speed buff or anything like that, since speed isn't their particular strength, but strength is, like, their physical strength would be, I guess, unrivaled outside of Saitama in this world if they were to fuse together. Man, I guess they would be stronger than even Meteoric Burst Boros. So we don't really get too much of a glimpse of Meteoric Burst Boros' physical strength, but in the original iteration of the manga, maybe you've seen this, I've covered it a few times on my old videos, but Boros is strong enough to, like, pick up, like, a skyscraper piece, or a skyscraper shaped piece of his ship and, like, throw it at Saitama like a friggin' javelin. So that's crazy. One of the most impressive, if not the most impressive feat of power in the series. So I guess the fusion of these two would be able to do crazy stuff like that. Maybe even more than it, because, Darkshine's already incredibly super powerful physically, and Tank Top Master is as well. So if you take them together and multiply it, man, I don't want to say they'd be god level at this point, because it's hard for me to picture what a god level would be like. I mean, especially if you're just putting Darkshine and Tank Top Master together. If it was like Darkshine and, I don't know, Flashy Flash or Blast, maybe we'd have a god level guy at that point. But Tank Top Master and Darkshine together, I think they're like definitely above Dragon. I mean, Darkshine could already be debated as being a high dragon by himself. So we're taking like a high demon and Tank Top Master, throwing that into the high dragon pot. Definitely going to get above dragon out there. Their durability would be insane. I guess Tank Top Master would amplify it a little bit, but on top of Darkshine's inherent crazy durability that he has, man, you're looking at like a huge guy who's like, I don't know, has like the skin tone of Drake, maybe? I don't know, with Tank Top Master's pigmentation, like even out Darkshine's. I know there's a whole crazy backstory to Darkshine, but I really don't want to get into that until we see it in the manga. Like, I don't know exactly what's happening in the webcomic, so when we see it in the manga, I think they'll make more sense of it. And at least I hope they retcon it, because there's a lot of issues with that. But we'd have like this huge, super crazy muscular dude with crazy durability and unmatched strength. Like, oh my god, just throwing skyscrapers. You know how like Zhoniin did with his Esper ability? So this is just physical strength, like no problem. He could probably even like punch a city away if he really wanted to. I mean, he could try. He would definitely level a portion of a city with a punch. I mean, if Meteoric Burst Boros, the implication of his powers can do that, like the crazy end result of one of his punches on Saitama, I assume that this Darkshine Master, this Tank Top Darkshine character, could do something similar. And then their fighting style would more or less be the same of what they already do. You know, just big power shots and taking damage. Like the Tank Top Tackle that this Darkshine Tank Top Master could do would be incredible. Like busting cities stuff. Maybe even more than that, but I'd love to see this happen. We got to put this in the Budokai 3 mods, or whatever that big Dragon Ball modded game is, where they just have everything in there. You know, like Thomas the Tank Engine, Metamoran fusing with Goku, you know, stuff like that. But as for my equipment, so I don't really get too crazy yet. Soon, when I start making camera videos, I'm going to get more equipment. But right now, I just have, I forget what type of mic this is. I don't have the information on hand. But I spent about $50 on this mic from Amazon. So I just looked around for something that wasn't too expensive, but not something too cheap, and something that was good enough to make adequate sound quality for right now. I also have a pop filter on the front of it. I know sometimes it seems like I don't. I guess it's just the acoustics in my room change from time to time, but I have a pop filter on the front of it, and I have the mic attached to like this this retracting arm. I forget the name of it. Mic stand. I really think having a mic stand is important, just for the logistics of your layout. And then as for my computer, you know, it's nothing too crazy. It's just a standard computer that's capable of running like Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, things like that. Not too crappy, but you know, not too good either. I'll upgrade my computer eventually, of course. And then my monitor, I think, is the most important. I have like an ultra wide monitor. It really makes everything so much easier with working. But those are the only real things that you need to be successful at first on YouTube. So you just need a comparable mic. Don't get a crappy mic, because that's all anybody is going to focus on in your videos. They're just going to say that your mic is crappy and you need a new one. So you need to get a mic that's good enough to where your voice gets across and it's not too distracting. Get a pop filter or just a cover for the mic so that, you know, that doesn't happen too much. And get a mic stand. Get a computer that is capable of running Adobe Premiere and Photoshop. Those are the two main programs that I use. So I use Premiere from 2017. It's a fantastic program. I love it, and I use Photoshop from whenever. Both are fantastic programs. I self-taught myself in both of them, so if you don't know how to use them, it's not too much of a big deal. There's not too big of a learning curve on them. And then just get yourself a comfortable monitor. Legandaryus says, "Hey Zhoniin, about my last question from last week. I meant female Genos. If you would like to reiterate on it, my question is, do you think that Jason Voorhees would be considered a monster in One Punch Man or a villain? What rank or disaster level would he have?" So thank you so much for your continued patronage, Legandaryus. I appreciate it so much, my friend. So going back to what you asked before, if one will actually make female Genos real, I'm not entirely sure if he would do this in the actual story, but I could totally see this happening in like a bonus chapter or something like that. Now, I'm not opposed to this. I actually think that would be pretty cool. Like, I've seen a whole bunch of female Genos fan art, and it looks great. Like, it totally works for him. I guess because he's already such a cute, guy that and it's easy for him to become a female. You guys know what I'm talking about, all right? We got those new Snapchat filters, and it's making people think all kind of differently now. When the Snapchat filter that can make a dude become a girl pretty easily. So put that on Genos. But I'd like to see this in like a bonus chapter or something. If it were to happen in the actual story, I think it would be funny too, but I'm not sure how it would really play out, especially for Genos' fans. Like, if you just suddenly a female and that was it, I think it would be a little discerning to him. Maybe not the Japanese fans, but I think the Western fans for sure. I would just really like to see that in like a bonus chapter. I think that would make a lot of sense. But if him becoming a female would make him stronger, I'd be on board for that too. I don't know how that would necessarily work, but maybe let me know your thoughts on him becoming stronger if he was a female. It's totally possible too, because Dr. Kuseno could just make him a female. I don't know why that would be so difficult. The only real thing with Genos, I think, is like his brain and spinal cord, something like that. So, you could just change his whole outer shell to a female, give him some estrogen, and he's good to go, I guess, But Jason Voorhees, I like that you mentioned him. I am a fan of Jason. I only really like the 6th movie. It's fantastic, a lot of fun. It's like the only movie that you should really watch if you're a fan of Friday the 13th, in my opinion. But we're going off of that Jason, like the super powerful zombie Jason. I think he would be a demon for sure, and he would be a monster. Like, totally, he'd be classified as a monster because he's more or less like Zombie Man. He has like those abilities, but with super strength. So he's serious threat in that world, to non-dragon level dudes. But the fact that he just walks around with like that machete, similar to how Zombie Man does, and he can seemingly regenerate and just tank anything, along with just having like crazy, strength similar to that of like, I don't want to say Tank Top Master, but I guess that's the only thing comparable right now. I don't think Jason could pick up like half of a building or something like that, but maybe if he went to the One Punch Man world, he would. But yeah, demon for sure, and would be a monster. Maybe he would just be classified as like a corpse that became a monster just through natural environmental means, I suppose. I know that in the movies it's like a supernatural power that makes him a zombie and whatnot, and I know that it takes like 5 movies for him to even become a zombie, but there was definitely something going on with him before that. So this could actually coincide with like the monstrification, like the explosion of negative emotions, because his mom died and the teenagers that were responsible for it and whatnot at Camp Crystal Lake. This could seemingly be the origin story of him transforming into a monster, at least through the lore of One Punch Man, So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 70 of my incredible patrons. Guys, things will get better soon. Give it another month and a half, and I'll make things better for you guys. But until then, thank you so much for the support that you have shown me. It helps me out so much, and I can't thank you enough. If you would like to be in next week's Q&A, simply just check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you liked it, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.